This is the Urushin Londinsky branch.
Yes, I'm going to talk on the European branch of the family. A good deal of branch history was recorded in the Exodus publication, which was produced for the August 1997 reunion. The European period in the USA commenced in 1905 after a dreadful sea crossing, during which he was so badly seasick that the authorities of Ellis Island would not let him in and land, and threatened to send him back to his relatives, who undertook to take care of him until his relatives undertook to take care of him. Like so many other male immigrants, he initially tried to accumulate sufficient money to bring over the rest of his family, but was frustrated by his loathing of the bad living conditions in New York. Evidently that surprises you. So, as events turned out, he returned to the clean air and his garden in Semyatych in 1908, not knowing that his action would lead to the premature death of three of his daughters, their husbands and children 34 years later, by the hands of the Nazis in the Treblinka death camp in Poland. As for my immediate line of family, my grandmother was Rivka, the fifth child of Europeans. In 1910, she followed the pattern of immigrants who invariably first went to some earlier pioneer. In her case, it was to her aunt Surisha, who was then living in Old Montague Street in the East End of London, which was previously referred to as Whitechapel, and her older sisters who had emigrated before her, being Anna and Sarah. After that, my grandmother was followed in 1913 by Dora, a younger sister, and much later by Shana, also known as Jean, in 1927. Other members of the Londinsky family have the story of Surisha and Sarah, which you've heard before. May I therefore fill you in briefly about Anna, who unfortunately died in 1920, leaving three small children, one of whom was Sam, who then came to the USA in 1950. His widow Kitty still lives in Denver. As previously mentioned, Dora married a cousin Abe, who was Surisha's fifth child. Shana tragically went back to Semyatych before the last World War to marry a persistent suitor who suffered from haemophilia, a hereditary blood disorder. Her life savings were spent in doctor's fees for her husband. At the time the Nazis invaded Poland, she threatened herself to throw herself off the roof if the Nazis came to Semyatych. We will never know if she did that, or that she perished in the Treblinka camp along with the others. My grandmother Rivka married in London on 1st of July 1919 to Mark Zamchik, a tailor and amateur artist. She then had my two sons, my father Jack and my uncle Cyril. They were with you in 1997, along with my mother Helen and Aunt Josie. as well as my sister Barbara and her husband Jonathan, and my niece Louise and Mark, and nephew Mark. And they're all unable to attend this reunion and hope to see you in the future. Now I'll pass you on to Eleanor,